Union troops came through Walker County in the early spring of 1865. They came across the Tennessee River up in the northwest corner of Alabama, and they made their way down along the Ballard Road until they hit the Holly Grove Road, and then they traveled the Holly Grove Road into Jasper. That particular spring, it had been raining so bad that their wagons was getting marred down, the cannon was getting marred down. They couldn't hardly go, so they had to do what was called a corduroy road. The corduroy road consisted of small trees placed on where the ground was so mushy that the wagons and the cannons couldn't go. And then when they started coming along, it slowed them down, and they had people along the way that was sniping at them. They were shooting at them, and General Wilson got several troops injured coming along that route. And when he got over outside of Jasper, he had one of his soldiers who was ill and couldn't continue, and so he left that soldier in the care of a local family. And this family cared for that soldier until he died, and they took him to the cemetery over at Mackie Bochelle, and that Union soldier is buried there, and he has a Union marker too. Later on through the years, it was told that man's family came back down and got his belongings and personally thanked the family that cared for him until his death, but the guy is still buried there today. Well, when old General Wilson came into Jasper in those 3 march groups, he was mad, he was fit to be tied, and there was a man by the name of O'Rear. Mr. O'Rear had gone to have lunch at his home, and his wife was telling him, now you've got to leave, the Yankees are on the way. And he said, I'm not leaving until I get my lunch. Well, he finished his lunch, he walked outside on the front yard and started walking, and he was shot dead by the Yankee soldiers coming down the street. And as most people know, they burned the Methodist church and the courthouse and the Masonic Hall. But they continued on out of Jasper, came on like where the remnants are of the old Bankhead Highway, and came to the forks of the river. And when they came to the forks of the river, there was a shack over there, a home really, that had a dog run between the middle of it. Most folks don't know what a dog run is, so I suggest you check that out. Well, if you get to where the Frosty is at Lynn's Park, and you look across to the other side of the road, you can see where the foundation of that house was located. That husband had ran off when the Yankees started coming, and so the wife was scared to death, but General Wilson told her she stays in one side of the house, and he was taking the other side of the house for his quarters, and that whole valley down there was a Union encampment because they couldn't cross the Warrior River, and that's the old Sanders Crossing is located there. But anyway, after they did manage to cross it, they came on in toward Summerton, winding around through Rocky Holler and coming up through there. They had 3 march groups. They marched through Summerton, came on around and into Jefferson County and over where the 78 highway is today. They camped out over there before they crossed the Black Warrior River, and they went on into Elenton. Now you got to remember, Birmingham's not there, so that's where Wilson divided his forces, and he sent Croxton down to Tuscaloosa. Well, Croxton was there, and he's the one that burned the University of Alabama and did all the fighting. And then it got too hot for him down in Pickens County because he kind of got shot up, him and his people did. And he came back, and then he came back up the old Ballard Road and up to the old Palmer House, which is located south of Townley, going toward Corona. And he camped out there, and he skirted around, and he moved around and wound up at where Albritton Bridge is in Coleman County. He camped out there. Then he went on into Georgia, and his troops were the ones who captured Jefferson Davis in Georgia. All of the information that I just went through about General Wilson's march through Walker County. Most of that information came from Bill Manasco. Bill Manasco did more work and research on that, and I gleaned so much information out of his that added to what I had done and what I have found. But Bill, the one that deserves all the credit for that. You got to give credit where credit is.